All right, folks. Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell. We're diving into the final episode of Kenobi, and aptly, I have Luke and Leia here behind me. They're sleeping, but our little kittens are joining me for the final review here of the season finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And all I gotta say is, holy crap, this was the best episode of the season. We went out with a 10 out of 10 episode. I have nothing bad to say about this show. Like nothing. I really don't get the critics who are like meh, 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 over little bits of things. I loved every episode. The weakest one was episode 5, I thought, but episode 6 came right back with a bang. Spoiler alerts on all fronts. If you don't want things spoiled, don't watch this video. I'm going to spoil all the things. We're covering every little last detail because this episode was a banger. So again, spoiler alert, you've been fairly warned. Don't watch this if you don't want things spoiled because I am going to spoil everything as we dive in. All right, so 3, 2, 1. So we kind of knew from the previous episode that Luke was in danger on Tatooine because the threat is portrayed at the beginning of the episode as we're reminded that a not quite dead Riva has Obi-Wan's broken communicator with the message that mentioned Owen's name in reference to children, and boom, we're back on Tatooine. Riva's there. She's looking for Owen. You get the feeling that she's out for blood and ready to do something not so nice. Um, then we're in a space fight, right? And it's a classic Star Wars space fight. Star Destroyer pursuing a transport vessel, which guess what? Of course, is Obi-Wan's space transport with all the people on it, and it's Darth Vader, and they are in hot pursuit. And we're getting this sequence here now where back to Tatooine, Luke is shopping with Uncle Owen for parts. Owen's grumpy, etc. Reva starts asking around. Um, it's it's not looking good. Um, as they're being pursued, Obi-Wan is getting this the whole, I have to sacrifice myself to save the people because Vader's just gonna keep coming after me. And then there's some dialogue here between Leia and him, which is fine, but it is what it is. We kind of know what path is happening here. Um, on Tatooine, we're dealing with um, Reva having come looking for Owen. One of his friends warns him, so he goes back to the farm and he's, talking to Beru about hiding, and she's like, "Screw that, we're gonna defend ourselves. It's your fault. Obi-Wan's not here anymore because he ran him off, so we gotta protect the boy." And she's a tough woman, Beru. Um, and I say this is a moment where we're getting that grumpiness of Owen that we saw in episode 4, the grumpy old man, but this is him as a younger man, and it's being very well portrayed. But I digress. Going back to this sequence of Obi-Wan knowing that he has to sacrifice himself, or believing that he has to sacrifice himself, he's really struggling with this idea that it has to end today. It's either going to be me or Darth Vader. One of us has to die. Qui-Gon, can you hear me? This has to happen, and he still can't contact his master. He's still struggling with that. And then he gets in the transport ship and it drops off. He gets in his shuttle ice his hand, goes off in the transport ship, and they diverge. The Grand Inquisitor actually has the balls to tell Vader, "My lord, the insurgents are far more important than one man." And Vader's like, "Screw you," and goes after Kenobi, which we knew was gonna happen because he wants that sweet vengeance. Um, there's another sequence back at the ranch, and they're trying to protect Luke, and they put him in the basement, and they're basically like, "There's Tusken Raiders attacking. Stay here and hide." And I'm like sitting here going, "No wonder the poor kid hated Tusken Raiders so much." Because he was traumatized from the time he was a kid by Tusken Raiders, just like his dad. Oh, there is a touching moment here where as Kenobi lands on the planet where he's going to face Vader, he finds out that Leia stuck her droid in his pocket because she didn't want him to be afraid. It was a really cute and endearing moment. Um, so yeah, Reva's on the planet. She's at the farm. She's gonna get him. But we gotta talk something else before we do the whole Reva thing. Vader flying down to the planet, the backdrop, the music. Eh, This. I need a moment here. I need a moment. We're finally getting the lightsaber battle, right? and we get the Obi-Wan pose with the two fingers, he's like, whom, with the two fingers out. I got to do that properly, like that. And this I've watched. I'm getting a little emotional here. Um, I cried during this episode. I cried like a little baby, and the moment that I cried at is coming up, and we're going to talk about it. Um, this lightsaber battle is beyond anything I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of lightsaber stuff over the years, and we always go back to the Obi-Wan versus um, Darth Maul being one of the best, but then the Obi-Wan versus Anakin fight sequences in that film. Um, in this, it's those were epic. This is better than any. I'm not. For me, this is the best lightsaber scene I've ever seen ever any time. Just the fight leading up to this moment where Darth Vader slams his hand down on the ground and the ground falls away and Obi-Wan falls down into the pit and then Vader just stands on the top and you're like, who's got the high ground now, bitch? And like piles all this rubble on top of him. And of course, it's he's not dead. He's not dead. He starts thinking about Luke and Leia and how he's got to protect them, and he bursts, pushes everything away, on the rebels away. But Vader thought he killed him. Vader's walking away, thought he's dead, and then suddenly he feels him coming back, and he turns around, and there's this epic finale sequence. That the lightsaber sequence here is even better than the first sequence. I cannot wait for someone who's going to put all of these sequences together into one long fight scene because this was just amazing. Like the fight, I mean, Obi-Wan, this scene when Obi-Wan pulls all the rocks up behind him and he's standing there with his lightsaber and he just force pushes Vader into the rock wall and then he pulls all the rocks up and he just pummels Vader, right? Um, this is going to be amazing when somebody does the supercut. And then they keep fighting. He's just beating the crap out of Vader, cuts him on the back, beats him up, slams him in the chest, and then thwomp, slices his mask open. All right? This, we can hear Vader's gasping. And then we see half of Anakin's burned face. Hayden Christensen here. The hate in those eyes. And Kenobi, I'm going to cry a little bit here. This is really, really an emotional for me. I mean, I'm a whatever. I grew up with these films, but Anakin's burned face, and he's like, Kenobi feels pity, and he calls him Anakin. Like he doesn't call him Vader, he calls it Anakin, and Anakin literally responds, and it's this blending of Anakin with Darth Vader's voice, and he's like, Anakin is gone, I am what remains, and fucking Kenobi starts crying, and I started crying like I was crying in the episode right alongside Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. And he's like, I'm so sorry, Anakin. I'm sorry for all of it. And then we get this reply from Anakin where he's like, I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. And then there's a pause, and you think that's going to end. And then he comes back raging. And he's like, the same way I will destroy you. And then Kenobi, like, well, my friend is truly dead. Goodbye, Darth. And he leaves Vader. He leaves Vader there again, defeated. And as Obi-Wan's walking away, Vader's screaming his name into the universe. And I was just like, oh my god, this is just amazing. This is just amazing. Just best lightsaber duel ever. The show could have ended right here and it would have been a perfect episode. Just like with like Obi-Wan walking off into the darkness and Darth Vader like, no. Um, But there's more, and we're going to talk about that. But I do got to do my call to action here, ladies and gentlemen. So if this is your first time tuning in and you like this episode, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get updates like this in the future, because I am going to be reviewing other Star Wars shows, other things from Disney Plus. I review other stuff. We've got coming up, we got Star Trek, we've got The Boys, we've got Stranger Things. I'm doing all sorts of reviews here. So if you like my reviews, make sure to tune in and follow along. You can support the channel with a super thanks down there. You can also join as a member of the Adventurers Guild down over there. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/wandering hermits, where my wife and my brother and I are building that world, the world of Weave in the Void, along with our two cats, Luke and Leia, who are aptly named for this episode. Let's get back. Kenobi's in transit back to Tatooine now because he feels Luke's need. Because Reva's on the planet, tearing the farm up, chasing the kid off into the night, while Beru and Owen are hurt but not killed. She eventually catches up with him, and there's this sequence of she's gonna kill Luke, right? But then she starts having flashbacks to her being a youngling, all her friends being dead, and Anakin and coming in and killing all the kids, and she sees her face imposed over Anakin, and she's like, "What have I become?" And then of course she doesn't kill him, and she brings him back to the family, and there's this cool sequence between Obi-Wan and her about her saying, can I come back from this and can I be redeemed or have I become Vader? And he's like, no, your choices from here on out define you, which is a setup for the supposed Reva show that might be coming in the pipeline, which I'm excited to watch because I don't care what people say. I liked her character, even though the writing was a little sketchy at times. That's not on her, that's on the writers. So I'm happy to see her get a spinoff if that ends up happening. Um, but then we get we're back on Darth Vader's planet, and Vader's reporting to the Emperor, he will not evade me again. And the Emperor calls him out on it. He's like, I wonder if your thoughts are clear on this. Your feelings for your old master make you weak. And Anakin checks himself. Like, he realizes Kenobi's beat my butt twice. My master is the Emperor. And he says, Kenobi means nothing. I serve only you, my master. So he finally pushes past it. And when he does, we get John Williams' epic Darth Vader theme music. And it's so fitting at this moment because he has truly become Darth Vader. He's no longer Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker is in the past 100% now. Kenobi's in the past. He's forgotten him. Now he is just Darth Vader, and he is the Emperor's tool to do with as he will. So very, very intense sequence here. Back to Alderaan. Leia's a princess again. Jimmy Smits is awesome. I love him. Ben shows up with her droid. They have a chat. He tells her this very moving sequence about how, you remember how I told you that I couldn't tell you anything about you, or that I didn't know your parents, but I did. You have this from your mother, this from your father. You're an exceptional person. And she understands what he's talking about, but she also looks behind at her adopted parents and goes, yes, my parents are exceptional people. So she's accepted that these are her parents, even though she knows that they're not her real parents. It's very, very moving. Um, and we do get a very great closure here because we go back to Tatooine. Ben is packing up, leaving his cave behind. He's riding into the farm, and Owen's like, "I thought you said you were going to stay away." And Kenobi's like, "You're right, and I've come to tell you you were right. He doesn't need to be trained as a Jedi. He needs to just be a boy, nothing more. Let the universe come to him as it will. The only protection he needs is you and Beru. Take good care of him." And he goes to leave. I'm gonna cry again a little bit. And Owen notices and he sees this and he goes, you know what, Ben, Ben's a better man than me. Hey Ben, you want to meet him? Like, there's this moment where Ben's like, or excuse me, where Owen's like, hey Ben, come on, come meet the kid. And we get this, you know, Obi-Wan's coming up and he's got the toy that we see Luke playing with at the beginning of episode 4. I, I'm all sorts of emotional. This was a great episode. But the true ending for this was the fan service ending because as he meets Luke, he's like, "Hello there," and it's like, oh, that was complete fan service. But there's yet one more sequence. They pulled out all the stops for this. As Ben is riding off into the desert, we get Qui-Gon Jinn's Force Ghost, and it's Liam fucking Neeson. Liam fucking Neeson's back. And he's like, "What took you long enough?" And 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 Obi-Wan's like, "I've been trying to reach you." He's like, "Well, you weren't trying hard enough, but hurry up. We got places to go and things to do." And he disappears off into the canyon, and Obi-Wan rides off behind him. And end of show. Holy shit! I have it's just I'm 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 overjoyed with this show. Um, I got nothing but good things to say about Obi-Wan Kenobi. 10 out of 10, 100%. I mean, 15 out of 10 in my mind. I loved it. Thoughts, comments, drop them down below. See everybody the next time I do a review of something. Until then.